Hey, so the entire premise for this video was around the idea that I love my Apple Watch and I would love to be able to keep using it. I would also love to have a bigger screen to do phone stuff like watching videos and shows and browse social media in general. And at the same time, have a way to work on stuff for this channel, be that writing, thumbnails, or even full on making a video from beginning to end without having to be glued to this desk. I've always been a big phone type of person and always picking the larger model, but until we see how this entire folding tech pans out, I don't see phone screens getting bigger to the point of being compelling laptop replacements. I also didn't want to simply just buy a laptop because I would either have to spend a lot of money and get a pretty good experience, albeit not as good as a full desktop, or spend less money and be left with a lackluster experience that would have me wonder the entire time, why am I not doing this on my desk? I so want to go back to doing it there. Please, please, please let me go home. So this entire research led me to this guy, the 2018 12.9-inch iPad Pro with 256 gigs of storage and cellular connection that I got used for 800 euros. And I think it's pretty great. But right off the bat, I found some serious limitations for my entire plan. First of all, you can't simply just get rid of your iPhone and use your iPad as a phone. Even if you get the cellular version, it just doesn't let you. If your phone is around, you can make calls on your iPad through your iPhone using the magic of Wi-Fi, but without your iPhone, you can't. You also cannot pair the Apple Watch to the iPad in any capacity. You can't control the media on the iPad. You can't even install the activity and the health app on the iPad. It's simply not a supported workflow or a supported device or whatever Apple wants to call it. At this point, I consider just scratching the entire plan, selling the iPad and moving on with my life. But over the past couple of months, I found myself wanting to use the iPad more and more, and to be honest, it has the improvements to usability and day-to-day usage that I've always wanted from a Plus or an ultra-sized phone, whilst at the same time being a mighty powerful device to do some of the work that I wanted to do for these videos whilst I'm not sitting on that desk, and I don't feel too constrained or limited by it. So what makes this, to me, such a compelling device? First of all, the screen is fantastic, even if it's not OLED. The only place where you might miss the OLED is when watching content with big black bars, since they will be dark gray like in any other LCD screen. It also is 120Hz, unlike any of the new iPhone 12 sadly, and that in combination with the iOS multitasking experience make using this device one of the most fluid experience I've ever tried. I'm also used to using 165Hz on my main monitor, and having another screen that I use daily for hours that is also high refresh is just fantastic. And with the entire navigation being so reliant on gestures, it just feels extra smooth to operate after you learn said gestures. Consuming media is probably the biggest improvement from a phone, and that is not only because of the screen, but also because of the speakers. These two things combined improve so drastically with the additional size of the iPad that I can safely say that this is my favorite way to consume content on the go, especially now that YouTube finally allows for 2160p on iOS. But the entire point of me buying this was because of the performance. So how good is it? Well, first things first, saving money buying the 2018 model is definitely the way to go, since performance-wise the difference is very, very small compared to the 2020 iPad Pro. And even compared to the new iPad Air with the A14 chip, this 2018 model is still faster in multi-threaded applications like video and photo editing. I would go ahead and say that a used 2018 12.9-inch iPad Pro is the best option for anyone that's looking for a laptop replacement in an iPad, if you are looking for best bang for the buck, of course. But what does this performance translate to in day-to-day life? Well, to make great use of all this power, we need to go to the App Store and get some of the best photo and video editing apps. And since I'm pretty anti-subscriptions, I chose Pixelmator Photo as my raw photo editor of choice, and then I went with LumaFusion, of course, as my video editor. I loaded around 50 gigabytes of raw Sony a7 III 24 megapixel photos using a dongle to read my SD card on the USB-C port, because yes, Apple can make a mobile device with USB-C and not Lightning, and after transferring them, they load up pretty quick. They react to my adjustments instantly, and I can do my normal batch edits like I do on Camera Raw on my desktop, and in the end, export everything pretty quickly as well. I also found it nice to edit with the Apple Pencil instead of a traditional mouse and keyboard, so that was a nice change of pace. The app is in active development, of course, but I think it only came out a year ago. But even the current version can do 90% of what I look for in a photo editor, so I'm pretty happy with it. Then, in the video editing side of this, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm used to editing 4K, 422, 10-bit footage on my desktop computer with a 12-core CPU and a 2080 Ti on DaVinci Resolve. But somehow, this fanless slab of aluminum can chop through it in a way that felt a bit unfair. It really is a great device for people looking to get into editing on the go, and you can also count that the battery will keep you going for around 5 hours of editing, and even longer if you just bring a Type-C power bank and just plug it in, so you don't have to really be worried about being close to a wall outlet. Not only was the timeline performance great whilst editing this video that you are watching, the render performance was also pretty fantastic. You could export this entire timeline in H.265 at 48 megabits per second, and of course in 4K in less time than it takes to play the entire thing. So that's more than good enough. So what's the conclusion here? If Apple really wanted to, they could have a perfect device here. If they allow the Apple Watch to pair with it and have full cell phone functionality in the cellular model, of course, without relying on the iPhone for anything, this could really be your only device. And a great one at that. Most people are definitely not looking for this use case, but I really think it could have some serious positives. Whilst doing this entire experience, I found myself mindlessly scrolling a lot less because it just simply isn't as easy to get your device in front of your face and start scrolling. If it's an iPad, it's a whole thing, taking it out of the bag and plopping it down or just holding it in your hand. It's kind of a disencouragement to that sort of mindless behavior. It offers the best selection of mobile apps. It also is one of the best ways to watch content on the go, whilst at the same time being a pretty capable computer if you are willing to adapt to its ways of doing things. All of this for less money than most flagship devices these days really make you wonder if getting a flagship phone and a laptop are truly the only way to go for everyone. I still don't imagine myself giving up the desktop back there, but I really do believe that this entire iPad workflow could work really great for a lot of people. Oh, but you're here, but nothing about the iPad, just some Feline Action. Okay, I'll see what he's up to right there on the side.